And so it was that once again, from the depths of wormhole space, the call to war was heard, and pilots from many corporations began to gather. The march on Wingspan's home system of J115517 had begun. While citadels from the Upwell Corporation are still relatively new to the galaxy, wormhole residents were quick to embrace them, and citadels have sprung up across W-space like green grass in a verdant field. It is with some respect on our part, and a testament to wormholers in general, that the very first of the biggest citadels, a Keepstar, was constructed in wormhole space by the Hard Knocks Corporation. Little did we realize it yet, but Hard Knocks would play prominently in events that were even now unfolding. The tower we would use as our beachhead was quickly erected, and absolute hull control initiated. Pilots from varying corporations who would normally be hunting one another were now spending time together, maintaining hull control and talking of past events and future plans. Paramount on everyone's mind was the coming assault on the second of the two citadels, of Fortizar, and of the Wingspan pilots who were hiding within its airtight walls, much like the defending armies of ancient Earth before mankind learned to stride the heavens. It was finally time. We were about to attack a fully operational and armed Fortizar. History was about to be made. Our fleet of legions, guardians, Balgorns, and capital ships entered orbit around the lava planet that Wingspan had built their citadel above. Leaving the capitals in a high orbit, the rest of our fleet warped down onto the citadel. The FC ordered all weapon systems hot, and missiles streaked down upon the Fortizar, wreaking destruction upon its defenses. Those behind its walls felt the relentless shockwaves of impact after impact. And then the Fortizar awoke, and its own weapons of war roared to life. It was here that we began learning our first hard lessons. A fully armed and operational Fortizar is deadly at close range. With a point defense system, it can cause damage to everything within 25 clicks, and our Logi pilots were suddenly overwhelmed by calls from nearly every pilot, all calling for reps at the same time. Making matters worse, we found out that the jamming strength of a Fortizar is unbelievably powerful. Several of our Guardians were being perma-jammed, rendering the Logi cap chain ineffectual. Without the hostiles even sorting a support fleet, we found ourselves in the unenviable position of having to fall back to our beachhead and come up with a new approach. This first engagement cost us a single Guardian. Under different circumstances, this would lead to the early failure of the operation, but Wingspan had set their vulnerability timer in a single 6-hour block, which bought us the time to reassess our Legion fits and send pilots to K-Space to gather new fittings for our fleet so we could attack the Citadel from a greater range. A short time later, we were ready. This time, the Balgorns were left behind, while they and several Legion pilots all reshipped in Guardians. We went from having 6 Guardians to 12. Day 2 was upon us, and confidence was running high among the fleet members. We had learned our lessons the day before, and were ready to properly apply them to the day's events. The Osterhaus was quickly put into its second reinforced timer, and we moved on to the Fortizar. We had the Naglfar with us, plus 2 Apostles to support the Guardians. We were ready to show our full might and power. And then it happened. 10 minutes into assaulting the Fortizar, our scout calls out a hostile saber on D-scan. Our scout quickly scanned down the SIG and warps in. The reports get confusing for a few moments as bubbles and sabers are reported, and then the chill down the spine as the scouts finally report who it is. Hard Knocks. It is these initial events that vary in telling depending on who it is you talk to. From our side, the hull was only a minute or 2 old at best. From the Hard Knocks FC, it was there for 10 minutes, as that was how long it took them to form up their fleet. Regardless of who is right, we were now faced with a truly powerful hostile fleet, a fleet that had found us at the worst possible time. While the capital pilots had been ordered back to the pause, the rest of the fleet warped to the new wormhole that was gushing Hard Knock pilots. The capital pilots that made it to the pause were ordered to the hull to support the fleet. We were fighting on 2 fronts, and Wingspan took advantage of this to finally sortie their own fleet with its own Naglfar. The battle was long, and in the end, Hard Knocks, with its own fact support, was able to wear us down and kill us one by one. The order was given for those who could to fall back to the pause. For our capital pilots, this was not an option. Death soon found each carrier, each apostle, and finally our lone Naglfar. The question of whether or not Hard Knocks had been bat-phoned by Wingspan was answered when Hard Knocks destroyed their fleet. The reinforcement timer for the Fortizar had slipped by. The operation had failed. As with most major engagements of this kind, there is talk and debates about what could have been done or what should have been done. In the end, our FC and the pilots he led did an exemplary job. Corporations and pilots who hunt each other on a daily basis through the ever-changing wormhole paths came together with strength and power, and for a time brought a very large and well-known New Eden Corporation to its knees. Bob works in mysterious ways. Pride goes before the fall, and on this day, Bob taught us humility. And in our humility, we learned many lessons. Lessons that will be remembered for the next time.